by Jason Dean. Read by Dudley Hinton. Chapter 1. James Bishop put on his sunglasses and got out of the silver Toyota Camry. He didn't say anything to the driver, there was no need. He shut the door, adjusted his leather jacket, and checked his watch. 09:12. Then he turned and headed north along Main Street at a steady stroll, neither fast nor slow, as though he had some specific destination in mind, but wasn't in any rush to get there. Which was true enough to a point. It was a warm Tuesday. Warm for early May, anyway. The sun was out, but there was also a cool breeze to take the edge off. Good spring weather. Even better when you're experiencing it outside a prison cell. Almost 9 months since Bishop had gotten out, and the novelty of walking around in fresh, pristine air still hadn't entirely worn off. Parked vehicles already lined both sides of the street, but Bishop saw little actual traffic. Scratching his beard, he looked around as he walked and counted 6 other pedestrians. The town of Louisford, here in eastern Pennsylvania, was still in the process of waking up. Most of the stores were either still closed or just opening. That was one of the things Bishop liked about small towns, that casual indifference towards scheduled hours. But there were also plenty of places that opened on time, day in, day out. Banks, post offices, franchise stores, especially the franchise stores. They took customer care a little more seriously, like the small Starbucks over there. Bishop could already see a small queue of people inside, waiting at the cash register for their morning caffeine fix. But it was a franchise of a different kind that Bishop was heading towards, the one situated at the end of the street about 200 yards away. Bishop saw an elderly local coming his way, led by a black Labrador on a leash. The guy nodded a good morning to Bishop, who smiled and nodded back. Once they passed each other, Bishop immediately lost the smile and carried on walking until he reached his destination 72 seconds later. The check cashing store was one of hundreds operating under the Standard Star umbrella. Most offered cash advances too, but Bishop knew Pennsylvania was one of the 15 states that had either outlawed payday loans or capped the excessive interest rates to such an extent that there was no profit in it, which probably made the banks happy at least. Bishop stood looking through the windows for 2 seconds before turning back to the street, long enough for the interior to be imprinted on his mind in every detail. It was still the same. This branch had a row of 4 partitioned counters behind bullet-resistant glass and an ATM near the entrance. Closed-circuit cameras in the ceiling covered each counter. A pair of customers, a bald, middle-aged guy and a young blonde woman, were being served at 2 of the counters. Following a rash of check-cashing store robberies over the past 6 months, the owners had obviously felt the need for a uniformed security guard too. He'd been standing next to the ATM. Bishop figured late 50s. Overweight with a prominent pot belly, probably a retired cop. Holstering an old Service Walter 9mm and clearly bored beyond belief. Bishop used a hand to brush the dark hair away from his eyes and checked the street. Empty of traffic now. He looked at his watch again, 09:14. Time to go to work. He removed his sunglasses before pulling a pair of thin leather gloves from his pocket and slipping them on. As he reflected on how it had come down to this, he recalled a lesson that had been drilled into him more than once in the Marine Corps, that anybody's life can turn on a single event. It was true. He'd experienced one of those events already, and wondered if he was about to again. If he did, he'd have nobody to blame but himself. Well, too late to worry about it now, he thought. Besides, I've got no other choice. Then he walked over to the entrance, pulled the door open, and stepped inside. Chapter 2. Bishop paused just inside the door. The guard watched him and gave a welcoming nod. Public relations at work. You can wear a gun, but...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?